Hola, 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 mi gente. Let's get into this. We may not do the whole 2 hours tonight, panel. Probably not. Probably not. We shall see. We shall see. I got a couple things on the table from my desk. Lily's not going to make it tonight. She is very busy with family things. So we will catch up with her tomorrow, even though we're not live, but we got some behind the scenes stuff to talk about. So hugs and kisses to Lily till she returns. Okay, yeah, she's saying we will catch up tomorrow. All right, welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of On the Block with Jen. I am YouTube's your favorite devil's advocate, Jen from On the Block with Jen. You can reach me on all social media platforms, right? Right. TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, although I'm not really on Instagram, and On the Block with Jen at Gmail for business. Okay, if you want to support the show and you're catching the replay and help Mama keep the church lights on, Cash App On the Block with Jen as well. Okay, we can use it. We got a lot of projects coming up for you guys. We could definitely use it, right? So keep us coming at you. All right, guys. So chat, hold us down. Panel, please introduce your amazing selves so we can get into the gossip.
Musician and music producer Heron DeMarco here. You can catch me on Instagram as Dangerous DeMarco. That's Dangerous_DeMarco. You can also catch me on Apple Music and on Spotify as Heron DeMarco.
Hello, everybody. Once again, No Saint here. You can catch me now if you haven't found me before. It's at Saint No Saint on YouTube and at Saint No Saint on IG. Anybody who subscribed to me on No Saint, I just changed the name of the channel, so you're still subscribed. But I think it'll be a little bit easier to find me because when I would type in No Saint, a bunch of stuff would come out. So anyway, and also I'm a your favorite wine connoisseur. Any questions, you can email me at nosaint43@gmail.com.
All right, and I am David Hand, also known as Mr. David Hand, New York City's only classic dedicated runway model at New York Fashion Week, gearing up for a new season in a little while. And, for a minute now, I've been recovering from a career as a corporate creative director, and I don't miss it whatsoever.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hold us down, chatty watties. All right, guys. So I got some fluff. Does anybody have anything from their desk? If not, then I will start the fluffing on my own.
I got one little report.
Okay.
Little report because it's kind of crazy that I was in France about a little over a month ago.
Okay.
And I was in between a protest for striking for like a union type protest. It was something job related. And then I left and they started protesting again, which is pretty normal in France. But now they're rioting, and they're rioting for a different reason. There was a black male that got killed by a police officer. France is burning. And I was like, whoo, I made it out of there in time. I couldn't believe, and it's a beautiful place. It's absolutely a gorgeous place to visit. But yeah, I found that kind of interesting that some of the problems over here are over there as well.
I saw those pictures. They look pretty bad. The fires and things like that. So they are rioting.
Yeah, McDonald's got their windows bashed in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I saw a bit of the video from the actual shooting, and it looked like a cop leaning into the window of the vehicle and then just shooting the guy, and the guy apparently drove off and died, I think.
Oh,
who knew that they even carried guns over there and as police officers?
Yeah, you're not in London anymore.
No.
And it's France, right?
Right. So, another thing also, which was interesting, I left after I left because I keep on seeing these headlines, was there was a guy with a knife going around stabbing people as well in France. And luckily no one died. I think he went after a kid as well. So it's kind of crazy. Crazy stuff going over there in France. And
yeah, and like unlike us, like the whole damn country goes on strike when the government fucks up, and I love that. You know what I mean? We are shutting this country down, and get it together, politicians, and then we'll start working again.
Well, our tour guide, who's dad was from Ohio, but his mom was from France. Grew up in France, spoke English, lives in Madrid, speaks Spanish and English very well. And he said that they'll go on strike sometimes around holidays. Just
Conveniently.
go drink a little wine, enjoy the weather. So yeah, but they do that quite a bit there. He said it is like a national sport.
What do you guys think about when people say, I'm just throwing a question out there. When people say, let's say a cop kills an unarmed black man, right? What do you say when they make a huge deal about that versus, a black man? I mean, it's disproportionately black men are killing other black men disproportionately, like they're at the top of all the killings. We already know that. That stat is out. It is true. It is a fact. When you care about the loss of black life, period, right? If you care about the loss of black life, period, wouldn't you say that the priority would be where they're being killed in mass over and over again every weekend versus the cop that kills the unarmed black guy? And I'm not going to let you guys skate with, yeah, but those people get held accountable. That's actually bullshit. Most homicides go unsolved. The majority of homicides. It's not like First 48. We all watch First 48. We like First 48, but that's not the majority. Most times people don't want to talk. They're afraid of, repercussions and retaliation. So they don't even talk. So you can't even use that as an excuse. Like, well, but Jamal gets arrested if he shoots Tyrone. No, but more than likely not. Homicides are not solved as often as, one would see on First 48, right? So what do you think about that just logically? Like, you're burning down the town for one, let's say, black person. What about the hundreds that are going to be killed over this weekend, over this 4th of July weekend? As a matter of fact, in Detroit, in New York, in Chicago, in New Orleans, this weekend, 4th of July weekend, there will be a myriad of homicides, and it will be black body on top of black body. So what do you think about that?
Well, I've been lambasted numerous times in the past when I've discussed that, particularly when in regards to BLM. I didn't know I wasn't aware that it was only situational for BLM to get involved. They only get involved when there's a white face apparently murdering a black face. It seems like that's when I learned that, yeah, it's pretty much a political agenda. But I've very much have often spoken about black on black crime, and I've been met with 1,001, excuses as to why that's not important, as to why that's a myth, and so on. So my overall point and my overall perspective is, if you're going to give a damn about black life, give a damn about black life regardless of who does the killing. Whether it be black, white, Asian, whatever. The Black Lives Matter should matter all across the board, especially who kills it.
I agree. No, Saint David, what say you? Are you on the other side of this or what?
I am.
Okay.
I'm not a fan of blue, and they are charged with protecting us, not killing us. And often in these cases, we're dealing with armed people being killed by cops through excessive force, and for crimes not commensurate with the amount of force being used. Eric Garner was selling cigarettes, and they killed him. If it's in the middle of the commission of a murder, it's one thing, but so many times it isn't, and that is the charge that BLM is answering.
Okay. No, Saint, what say you?
Yeah. So my take on
that's me, by the way.
with the mask on too.
That's me on me.
That's your pandemic shirt.
Yeah, listen, it was actually a gift from this Instagram, this company, Funda Tierra. It was like, hey, we made you something. I was like, send it. I'll wear me. Why not? Go ahead, no, say I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of things going on in play. First of all, what gets eyeballs on the television is going to be race-based stuff when it comes to this. Statistically, per capita, I would say that Black people run into police. They're patrolling their neighborhoods a little bit more, a little bit more. So they have more. It's in the cities anyway. More of a chance to have confrontation. But statistically, white people get killed by cops as well. And we really don't see that. I hate taking that because that's what a lot of those people, the deflectors, like to say. I'm not trying to deflect. But I will say that it is interesting that that's what you see on, like I said, who knew the cops even had guns over in France? And why do we know about it? We know about it because it's tribal, race-based stuff that they're going to put on TV because that's what gets people watching. People go, like you said yesterday, people put on their jerseys, get on their team. Some of us try to play it down the middle and try to see it for what it is. I think Mr. David, he has some valid points, but I do think statistically it happens to a lot of people. And then statistically, we can't look at the cops as a monolith either. When people say the cops, there's so many departments of police agencies out there. And again, I hate to be this guy, but there are so many calls that go perfectly.
That's true. That's true.
And the ones we're going to see are the ones that end up on the news. But I'm not saying the cops are. I mean, listen, there's a lot of things wrong with police officers. I'm not cheering on. I'm not the guy that cheers on the blue. But I will say that what we see on TV is certainly skewed because that's what gets people watching.
Yeah, well, I agree with that. I know it's Black people killed first, then Latin people, then white people. That's how the list goes as far as who gets killed by the cops the most. I always found it strange. There's so much. I just wish I would see that much passion and vitriol and, you know what I mean, just running out in the streets for things, dare I say, that matter more. Sorry. Right?
And like real quick, when you bring that stuff on New Orleans, it's Essence Festival this weekend too. Let's hope. And it's 100 degrees. Let's hope there's not violence because it's going to be a lot of people downtown.
I just know this. Every 4th of July, them barbecues are murderous. And we'll get back together here on Monday and we could just run some numbers for shits and giggles of all the people that are going to die this weekend. It's unfortunate, but it's true. It's what it is. There's how we want it to be and then how it is, right? So, I found it, I find it hypocritical. I also find it, Dr. Khalid Muhammad said remote control Negro, because it's very easy to make Black people emotional. He's a Black man who said it, make them emotional and make them move a certain way. I mean, imagine if the people on the streets rioting, would run up in the Capitol and just hold people captive until taxes went down or till, they stopped fucking people in the ass with minimum wage, or they stopped or did something about the homelessness. It's absolutely disgusting in this country. Absolutely disgusting. But, there's always that passion for, hey, this cop killed such and such. And it's like, but there are like 50 people that died over there this weekend and they were Black, killing Black, right? But, like Haran said, you can't even question it because then you become the coon or the traitor or the race traitor and what have you. And when you know what I mean? And when that's your retort, it's easy to cover, right, what's going on over here. All you got to do is point and say, yeah, the racist or the coon. And it's like, all right, you can call me whatever you like, but this is still going to happen this weekend. And hopefully you won't be in one of those neighborhoods.
How do we get as emotional as the French? Well, that's very simple. You get rid of the comfort in this goddamn country. You got Netflix, you got TikTok, you got supersized fucking drinks, you got you got prostitutes, you got, what I mean? Jesus fucking Christ. I mean, you got all kinds of just XXL everything in this country. So there's no incentive. It's fucking sports. Yeah, there's no incentive for people to get angry. You know what I mean? Because, right at that moment when people get angry, oh, there goes your new show on Netflix. time to binge that this weekend. You know, and by the time you finish binging that, you know what I mean, you don't even remember what you were angry at. If you remove a lot of these fucking comforts that we have in this country, and you make it where we have to deal with each other, and you're just uncomfortable to a degree, then there's this incentive to get like, you know what? We should really storm this fucking castle. This is bullshit. You know what I mean? And you have to look at it from a human perspective, man. It has to be discomfort. And there's just too much comfort in America. It's just too much.
Oh, I agree. Because when you think about all the riots that went on through history, like those people were really, really in dire straits. It's kind of hard to gather people to riot when you got a Netflix show to binge. Everyone's talking about it on Facebook. Your team just won. You just got head from 2 different women. It's kind of hard to get people to riot because people aren't necessarily suffering, right? They're being inconvenienced a little bit, right? But they're not necessarily suffering. And I'm talking about the regular average person. I'm not talking about homeless people because those people are suffering, but they don't have enough, you know what I mean, energy or reason to riot. I'm talking about the average person who's always talking shit on social media. Like, yeah, look what they're doing to us, and look at those cops over there. You know, listen, Tyrone, you're not getting off your couch. If I called you, you know what I mean, tomorrow morning and said, hey, I know I found out where that cop lives. But let's pull up. No, you got a fucking championship game to watch. You know it and I know it.
I mean, you look at the Prohibition era. I mean, come on. You know, life sucked back then. What do you mean I can't have drugs? What do you mean I can't have liquor? You know what I mean? It's all I got from killing everyone in the street. So, yeah, you know what I mean? When you remove comfort from people, then, you know, things, you create an incentive. There's no incentive for people to fight back. People talk that shit. You know what I mean? It sounds good and so on. And then, you know, come the election time, they say it in the booth, and for them that means that they took a stand. But in the grand scheme of things, are people really willing to risk their freedom, their lives, their jobs, to really make a stand against or take a stand for the things that they believe in?
They couldn't even stop watching the NFL. They couldn't even do that.
I thought we were boycotting.
But listen, and that took no effort. That took no effort. You didn't have to get a weapon. You didn't have to work out. You didn't have to hit the street. All you had to do was turn the channel. And they couldn't even do that. And you expect people to change things.
Like the NBA. Right. There was a situation that happened with the NBA. I said, yeah, we're going to boycott the NBA, right? Crickets.
Oh my God! When baseball went on, millionaires striking is hilarious to me.
Oh yes.
I mean, first of all, sorry, no saint, but sports doesn't exist in my life. Period. All right. But
same.
Millionaires striking is just fucking hilarious.
Millionaires got to eat too. Okay, so I just wanted to bring this up. Because what Jenna said is correct on the statistics. When I say that, so we're going by per million people, right? So Black people are killed twice as much per million. So 5.8 per million, Hispanics 2.5, whites 2.3. However, still a lot of white people getting killed when you look at the population. You know what I mean?
But we're also, listen, that's not killed unjustly. That's just killed.
True.
So we don't even know. I mean, all those people were not killed unjustly. Listen, my dad used to tell me, take the cop test, be a cop. I was like, Dad, I will kill everybody. I'm not your girl. You be a good cop. No, Dad. No, not
But then you also have to layer on the race of the police. How does that compare with who's dying? And, you know, it's obviously, I mean, it was really obvious to me that, you know, in one of our egregious killings of innocent people by cops, you know, the first time the cops were immediately fired and charged with homicide, it was Black cops who did it. You know what I mean?
And that was are you talking about the one where they beat him to death?
That was, there's so many of them. I honestly,
the last one was, all right, the last one was horrific. It was like 5 cops. It was like 5 Black cops on that one skinny guy, and they beat him to death. That was horrific. Do you know that bar, Black Atheist Rants, he's a cop out there where that happened. And he came up and spoke about it when we addressed it. He came up and spoke about like the environment and how the air was down there right after that happened. Yeah.
But look how long. What is fuckface who kneeled on George Floyd's neck? What's his name?
Derek Chauvin.
Look at how long it took for him to be behind bars, and now he's appeling.
He
Guys
sure
on
is.
video murdering someone. So
Yeah, I mean, I know what you're saying, Mr. David. My whole thing is though, there's a process in court. I have no problem with him appealing. I don't think he should get out.
yeah,
But-
I know it's his right to appeal. And
Yes,
everything like
yes.
that, but I mean, it's typical of a fucking pig like him to murder someone on camera and then try to get a lighter sentence or something like that.
And they were
I hope he's getting
Well-
fucked hard.
Right. And they're so nice to him. Like he actually put in a request to move closer to his mother, so it's not hard on his mother to travel to the prison. And they moved him. They moved him closer to his mother. So
I mean, look, man. I think we just need to. Every seismic shift in our society, when it went into a different direction of people in control, was through violence. The barbarian tribes that took down Rome, to Nat Turner and the boatload of slave rebellions that eventually led to the American Revolution. Everything that, if you want severe change, somebody's got to get bust over the goddamn head, man. And we don't like to admit that shit. You know what I mean? Something's got to happen.
You gotta break eggs to make a cake philosophy. I hear it, but I just don't understand why we can't value human life, why we can't recognizing each other as people who are suffering the human condition. Yes, we have joy, but we have a lot of pain and everything like that. And why can't we see that within people? Why can't we recognize and why we never bond over our common humanity? And I think it goes back to something that, we all wind up saying on repeat: we are a garbage species. It's a goddamn shame. We're capable of it, but we don't do it.
I will agree to that, but I also acknowledge the fact that the world is essentially run by high-functioning sociopaths and psychopaths, and the only thing that they understand is bloodshed. The only thing they understand is violence. They are literally physiologically incapable of even wrapping their minds around empathy or sympathy and so on. So the only thing that they understand is harm to them, because in their world, it is them and everyone else. So once you threaten them and hurt them, that's usually when they want to sit down and negotiate.
And we are selfish. We want stuff. That's what
and that's it.
Citizens of a capitalist country want. We want our things. We want our Netflix, and that's why we're not going to go to the protest, because we're going to miss the playoffs and all that kind of shit. And instead of saying, "Wow, man, lives are at stake."
Look, I've risked my freedom. I've risked a bunch of things during being a part of a number of protests and so on in the past, when I was a very young and angry and naive young man. And I believed that the system can be taken down, until I realized that the same people I was actually fighting with are in bed with the goddamn system. And it's all a fucking ruse. You know what I mean?
And been there, done that. And the last time I marched was Trayvon Martin, and I did it kind of like out of body, where I was looking around at everything. When you have that epiphany, and I'm like, what the fuck is this about? What is this? What is this gonna? You know what I mean? It's like, and then of course George Zimmerman walked. Of course, how poetic, right? But I was super duper militant. I was Afro-Latin. I was like, fuck the system, and then it's like, beyond you saying, Haran, these people are in bed with these people, then you also have to fight your people. Because your people are comfortable.
Solution.
Right. So I was like, oh no, yeah. So I took
You know
my
what I mean? You know what
Timberlands
DeMarco is?
off.
Yep.
Yeah, I took my Timberlands off. I took off my leather gloves.
Got me a
Right, put my bra
nice
back
job
on.
in corporate America.
I put on some
Got me a
lip
nice
gloss. Same,
exactly.
right? When I was working
And
at Avenue of the
my
Americas with
business.
my little purse. And yeah, I was like, oh, you guys aren't ready. But I'm like, holla if you're ready, because I'm with the shits, but you guys aren't ready. So let me go enjoy my Netflix binging and my supersized almond joy. And I'll see you guys later.
My Marvel
Bye.
movies and so on and so forth. And you know, because back in those days, like when Malcolm was disillusioned and he became aware of what it was really about, I can connect with that. I can connect
Yes.
with that. I
Malcolm was like, oh,
believe
wait, this isn't a movement. This is a business.
this is straight up
I'm
fucking
bad.
business.
This is a, wait
I'll
a
tell you
minute.
guys a story. I tell you guys a story. When I was in high school, I had I was supposed to write a article for the school newspaper. They said, "We love your voice. We want you to write an article for the school newspaper." I said, "Bet, no problem." And I decided that we need to have African American studies in the
Oh, you got
goddamn school. In the
you went too
goddamn
black
school.
on them. You went too black on them, didn't you?
Well, yes. I realized that when my mother got a phone call. Well, I got a phone call, and not so many words. They basically said he better change this shit, or else we'll fuck up his future. You know what I mean? He won't be in any colleges, blah blah blah, so on and so forth. And my mother begged me, because I stood my ground. I was like, the fuck, the fuck these motherfucking crackers. I don't give a fuck. You know, it was the 90s. I was chocked up full of Public Enemy and X-Clan. Fuck you. You know what I mean? Like, fuck all that.
Listen.
But I caved in. My mother crying. Please don't do this. You're a black man. They're going to ruin you. You can't beat the system, blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay.
But it goes to show, going back to the remote control Negro, because we were raised a certain way and we saw a certain thing, and then we go to corporate America and then we meet these good white folk. Don't you? Those are good white folk over there. Don't you? You know, and then you realize that the people that look like you will put a knife in your back before white people, for the majority of the time. And I'm not talking about the sticks of Mississippi down in the backwoods. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the average white person is just out here trying to make it like everybody the fuck else. And they're usually clueless, right? And I was like, oh wait, this is a whole different world when you get out the hood, when you use that Metro card, boop boop, and you go downtown. It's like, oh wait, it's a different world. But it takes a while, but it's because we're raised a certain way. I was S1W, Public Enemy, what the fuck, X-Clan, and to the east, my brother to the east, Bang, we got all that shit in our head. And it's like, oh, that was entertainment. And you get disenchanted. Like now all these militant guys are on Instagram. Chuck D is on Instagram. And he was like, oh, some kid got killed. Like David said, there's so many, I don't remember the name he was referring to. But he was like, oh, when is this gonna stop? And I was like, did Chuck D just say that? Like, ew, cringe. Like you were the ones motivating us to stop it. And now you're on Instagram like a Karen. Like, when is this gonna stop? Are you serious, Chuck D? I'm taking my fucking Public Enemy hat off. But
and one of the most eye-opening moments in my life is when I met people such as David and No Saint that looked out for me quicker than a lot of black people did. And that's when I was like, oh, this is some real bullshit. Some real fucked up shit. I got these motherfuckers actually willing to look out for me before you brother, you supposed to. And that's when I was just like, oh, this is all a joke.
No. Now I just judge people. I judge people.
Just kill everyone. You know what I mean? Seriously.
That's why I am like, don't call me a racist. Call me a misanthropist.
Right.
You got the wrong ist. I know you want to label people with the ist. Use the right one for me, misanthropist. Okay.
Jen, I know we're probably going to wrap this up, but what I think Haran and we all learned, and I think Candace in her little documentary kind of exposed Black Lives Matter, is beware of these groups that pop out and say they're grassroots out of nowhere. The Tea Party, We all know the Koch brothers are behind them.
Oh, yeah.
Now they have patriot moms that also right now, patriot moms that came out of nowhere and have all this money to have these politicians come in. There's money behind that. It's not grassroots. Anybody saying, you know, any group that also is on the news all the time and look very organized, it's somebody's behind it pulling some strings. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah. So moving on to some more, since we're still kind of like on black, before we gossip about the celebrities, because I got some celebrity gossip, so we could lighten it Saturday night. Jeremy Brown, the man who was killed by the 14-year-old who was defending his mama, was laid to a ratchet rest. He was laid to a ratchet rest. Okay. Now, I've seen a lot of ghetto shit in my days. Let me tell you, I'm from the South Bronx, but that had to be the most ghetto funeral I have ever seen. What are you talking about, Jen? All right, buckle up. The women, the men at the funeral were wearing T-shirts with Jeremy Brown's picture on it, and it said "The Knockout King" on top. Okay.
Wow.
His coffin had his picture on it, and he was holding stacks of money. It looked like a mixtape cover. Okay. His coffin looked like a mixtape cover. I am not making this up. But there's more. They had a cardboard cutout of this man, and women were twerking on it. All day into the night hours. And his baby mama went live and said, listen, he been called the Knockout King. Stop making this about that shit that happened. So they're all out there twerking. I mean, they look like bugs. You know, you ever uncovered something like a rock or something and all the bugs are like moving around? You're like, oh! So it was just a bunch of women twerking with Knockout King T-shirts on, with his picture on it, with his picture on the coffin, looking like a mixtape cover. So I was like, if anyone ever had to be exterminated, the only problem is the ilk is left behind. The bloodline is left behind. But I feel like people like that are useless to society. You could quote me on that. I don't give a fuck. But just looking at that funeral, you're like, it was so cringy.
Gentlemen, let me ask you something. Now, taking what you know of a gentleman such as myself, what do you think a black man such as myself? How do you think I'm supposed to grip with watching some shit like that? You don't think that's supposed to make me angered? You don't think that? Do you not realize why I need to disassociate myself with this shit? Do you understand why this needs to be chucked over a goddamn cliff? Like I mean, they got the airbrush T-shirts. They're twerking on the coffin. Like, this shit looks like a rap video. Like, what am I supposed to see in that?
I don't see this as the circles in which you operate, Haran.
Well, absolutely. You're absolutely
if I saw you in that crowd, I would be like, what the fuck?
And you would
get hit on the head.
You would be correct in saying that. So, Jenny, they were twerking on the cutout. Sounds like a song, actually.
Yes, they would twerk. They had a big twerk. I mean, a big cutout of this man and his baby mama and all of them. They were twerking on the cutout. Then they were twerking on cars, of course, because where else would you twerk? And then they were twerking on the floor. And then the funny thing is, they do like a freaking a time warp. These women were twerking from when they had the funeral all the way to the nighttime. I'm like, you don't fucking get tired of fucking twerk all the way to the nighttime. It was sundown and they were still twerking on the car for the Knockout King. That's what he was. But she made sure to explain he had been known for being the Knockout King. It wasn't just him swinging at that particular woman.
Oh, he swung at other women in the past?
Well, he had 6 domestic violence cases, right?
He was undefeated.
Yeah, he's undefeated. Well,
to that last.
I am laughing at domestic abuse, and I am going to the hell I don't believe
that one time where it didn't really go out the way that he wanted to. You know?
Yeah.
That meme though.
Ironically,
that meme though.
Somebody not in his
Listen, People need to take the temperature of the room when they do things. His name might have been the Knockout King, but you got to look at what happened and say that's not a good idea.
Yeah, maybe that shouldn't go on the shirt.
I've seen some crazy funerals, and you know what? Like, remember there was the rapper, I think in Atlanta, that they propped up in the club, and
Yes,
and yeah, I mean, but you know, people. I mean, it's just today. I mean, I'm trying to think of the examples in the past where they used to do stuff. I mean, they took death masks before. I think, presidents go down. I don't know.
There were a bunch of actors that stole like Cary Grant's body from the funeral home and partied with it.
Yes.
Like, one last
Weekend
time,
at Bernie's or something.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah, but for real, like it actually happened. Yeah.
So, but yeah, I don't know that, but all I can say is,
are we being? Hey, you're from New Orleans. No,
Yeah.
Puerto Rico. They stand up their dead. They put them on motorcycles.
Correct.
They sit them down with their blunts. Like it's
Word.
really popular in Puerto Rico. Like super popular in Puerto Rico. They stand up. They pose their dead. And there's a guy on a motorcycle. There's a guy sitting down with his eyes open.
yes,
with his glasses
kinda
on.
creepy, but yeah.
Super creepy.
I mean,
There's
it's not just Puerto Rico. There was a
Mhm.
guy in Pittsburgh, and it's a white guy, so it's not any race. And there was a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. He was sitting in his recliner, thing that Jen hates. He's eternally sitting in a recliner with his remote and his Steeler jersey.
So here. Sorry, guys. Wrong video.
Oh, I was about to say, well, at least that video showed up.
No. Here's the picture. And are we being too bougie? Are we being too hard on them? There's a lot of cultures that celebrate their dead.
We
Here's
are.
the picture.
Look. There's like
No, this
it is.
just
Oh,
no,
yeah.
this ain't it, man. This is.
But this is people celebrating the loss of their loved one. The guy had friends and family, and they're doing how they do in their way. It's we find it atrocious, but I'm sure that even the very fact that we inject the body with formaldehyde and so it won't
Tell me about it.
rot
Yeah.
in the room and sit there, and now it's not biodegradable, and then we bury it in a metal box inside a concrete tomb under 6 feet of earth. A lot of people are probably looking at us saying, wow, that's really fucked up.
Well, I'm looking at us saying that's fucked up. I believe in cremation. Like, don't
Me
fucking
too.
mutilate my
Yeah.
body after death and stuff me with shit and sew my eyes and mouth shut and stick
Oh.
it. So that it's bad.
I hear what you guys are saying, but it's a goddamn logo on the coffin, bro.
Fucking
Logo.
Need to get a sponsor.
Yeah, like this ad space on the fucking coffin over here. Like,
Like a
Brondo
NASCAR.
logo, Jen. It's Brondo coming at you.
what is this?
But
It's got electrolytes.
to what Mr. David said, like even having a body in a coffin and going and looking at it, if you didn't have it grow up with it, it would probably seem a little strange to some other culture. That's bad.
Sorry.
That's bad. Had to look what everybody's laughing at.
I was just thinking that. Look, listen, I was just thinking. I'm sorry. I was just thinking that to myself. I was like, okay, this is just too much nigga for me. This is just too much, man. I'm done.
But what I want to say is, like, even like you said, down in New Orleans, they do the jazz funerals, and
Yeah.
I will say though that I have noticed it's just a cultural thing that like around here I'll see people have the little sticker on their car of their loved one, and with a picture of them and with the date on it and everything, and I'm just like, wow, that's mostly black people though.
Let me pause you right there, because a lot of the people that we're talking about who have these traditions have had them forever. I think there's a degeneracy going on because this wasn't happening before, not even in the hood. We grew up in the hood, and we've been to a plethora of funerals. Okay.
Right.
Lots and lots every other month. It was like, oh, guess who died? Buddha got shot, that type of thing. Right. And we didn't see this going on. This is very recent, along with all the stripper rappers and everybody's twerking and the BBLs and drugs in the music and the killing in the music and the liquor in the music. Like, this is all kind of like morphing into that, where they're painting the big logos on the coffins and the chicks are twerking on the coffins. Like, this is relatively new. This isn't exactly a tradition that's been going on forever. We've been going to funerals forever. So is there something to be said for, it's like, it is degenerative or disrespectful?
Because of social media, we're seeing a lot more. We've got that view, and because of cell phones, like my father's last wife was like Kathy fucking Bates in Misery, and universally hated by everyone, and just the tackiest bitch you could ever imagine. And she pulled out her phone and was taking pictures of, my aunt, and maybe this is the last shreds of polite society within me, but I was like, what the fuck are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, that to me is atrocious. And that's another reason why, when we talk cremation, no one sees me dead.
Yeah.
No one sees me dead but the guy that pushes the button to burn.
But Mr. David, I'm not sure. And how old's your aunt, by the way?
The one that passed?
No, I mean the person taking the picture. Sorry. How old was
it
the
was
person?
my father's last wife. She was, she was a 70-year-old woman.
Because my ex-girlfriend, whose mom was she just passed away recently, but she was in her, I think, at least 60s, 70s. So, and she died in her 90s. She took pictures of people in the coffin. So I don't know if that's just something they used to do. It wasn't a cell phone. This is like way back, right? This is like back in the 90s. But
that happened a lot. Like, I don't know why people do it.
It's they put them in a scrapbook. How depressing is that?
There's
Aunt Lola.
Oh, here's the picture of when he was born. Oh, turn the page. Look at this next one.
I don't get it. It's always been icky to me. The extra handling of the body has always been icky to me.
I like the way up to the coffin at a funeral. I don't even go up. I don't. Yeah. I'm like, hey, it's the same with me every time. It's like, that's not the memory I want to have in my head for eternity.
That's another thing.
Of this person that I love.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like, I'm glad I didn't go to my grandma's. Well, I was on the West Coast, and they kind of took care of it. And I knew what when I went to see her at the hospice. I was like, I know this is going to be the last time I see you, Grandma, so we going to talk, okay? Because I knew it was the last time, but I'm like, I'm glad I didn't go, because my sister was like, she was destroyed, because she was like, it didn't look like her, Jen. It didn't look like her. I was like, that is why I don't go and then walk up to the coffins, because the last image of that person is horrific. And I remember my grandma the way she was. I'm not going to remember this thing that they turned her into and stuffed her in the box. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
The worst one I'd ever gone to was, I was in Alaska. It's my first fire department I was at. And guy came back. They moved to California and they came back. They loved Alaska so much. And they were on the Russian River. And he and his wife and 3 kids capsized in the Russian River. Now, you're in Alaska. The Russian River is frigid. And if you don't get out of it, you're done. Well, his wife and his 4-month-old child died. And he and his 2 other daughters lived. And the funeral, the baby in the mom's arms in a coffin. That was creepy.
What are you doing? No.
Yeah, I had and not to talk these horror stories.
It's all right. We're here together.
There's a funeral that I went to, and the family chose to, have an open casket in a circumstance where they absolutely shouldn't have. We're not talking Emmett Till here, but we're talking, about someone who, wasn't discovered for some days before they were before they were found, and I was and I had to speak and had no choice but to stand right in front, and I'm just thinking, God, this poor guy, if he knew what was going on.
Interestingly enough, I did reach out to a couple of funeral embalmers and stuff like that. I do want one to come up here so she can got my eye on this one lady.
I like her.
You
I know
know
what
who
you're
I'm
talking
talking
about.
about.
Yeah.
But she's like super busy, but she's like she does the and I wanted her to come up and explain the process because people don't understand how brutal that process is. They don't understand how brutal. I mean, they're
Yep.
sucking out your organs,
Yep.
they're refilling you. It is brutal. They're breaking shit inside of you, and they're stuffing your nose and your eyes so the worms won't come out. And they sewing your shit shut and putting shit in your mouth. I'm like, look, I like how the small hats do it. 24 hours, get me in the oven, mix some glitter in it, give it to my daughter, go to the beach, go on with your fucking life. The only thing I told her is I want my fucking glitter. I'm not asking you for shit else. I want my ashes mixed with fucking glitter. Don't play with me. That's
Throw
it.
it
All right,
And
I
on,
then
want
throw
mine.
it on the
I want
stage where
mine.
Pink is doing a concert.
oh, I'm talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah, wow, yeah. I want mine mixed with pop rocks.
There you go. Like, oh,
Like
I
dip
God,
them in the water and
David
let's
is
have a
still
little fun.
complaining. David is still
I
complaining.
I watched her too quite a bit, and she is kind of what changed my mind and said, "Yeah, I might want to get cremated," because I don't know. I was under the impression that
Really?
you get embalmed, and who knows, maybe one day I'll get discovered, and they can look at my teeth and archaeologists, and oh, this guy had a lot of sweets. Look at these cavities. But
He loved
no,
wine.
no, you don't last that long, and then your coffin explodes with all this liquid coming out of it, and it's really disgusting. And I was like,
No,
hmm.
this is why I tell people if you think you want to be buried traditionally, watch this woman and watch the process. You may change your
Yes,
mind.
I did change my mind.
No, Saint. You're just always thinking about other people, right? You're
I know,
just
isn't he sweet?
you're
Isn't
like you
he
give
sweet?
back. You're like,
The
what if
giver.
someone finds my tooth and does a paper and they go on to Harvard because they found my
So I will. We can shift a little bit here. David Dillon says those Africans who dance with the coffins are even better than the ratchet requiem, and I have to agree. I will say that, like, again, some things look like tradition. It's like when they dancing with the coffin, it just looks, it has a different air to it than what I saw the other day. That shit looked really just disgusting. Like, even if they were dancing or whatever, fine, you're celebrating. Maybe the person was like, yo, if I ever die, celebrate. But that looked disgusting. It just looked really dirty, disrespectful, and disgusting. I mean, his twin daughters are there. They're watching people twerk on the cardboard. It was just, anyway, speaking of the dead, there's a new thing. Yeah, I don't know what word to put it to put on it. There's a new thing that bands are doing to singers. They're throwing things on stage, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. They're throwing water bottles. They hit Justin Bieber in the head. Most recently, they threw a cell phone. The new trend is you throw your cell phone up there, the pop star picks it up, does a picture, does blah, 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 talks on your phone, and then throws it back to you. So now people have gotten carried away, and there are dozens of phones being thrown on stage. Most recently, the singer BB Rexa got a phone thrown at her, and it split her head.
Yep.
She had to get stitches after. It took her down. She got hit. It took her down to the stage floor. When she came out of it, she was posting pictures and videos. She needed stitches and had a black eye. Okay. I went to the Bad Bunny concert. I saw people throwing pictures up there, trying to get him to sign autographs. I saw somebody throw a hat so he could sign it. He walked away from it, of course. But this is getting worse and worse. And I'm like, it's getting to the point. And Sexy Red, some stripper rapper, was rapping the other day and they were throwing shit at her. She walked off stage. So going back to what you said, No Saint, at the Pink concert, the singer Pink, this woman throws her mother's ashes on stage. What are we doing? I mean, do performers have to perform behind plexiglass now? Like, what's going to happen? Because I would not trust it.
I think that's either that or people got to get patted down. People, you know what I mean? It's just like I said, Jen, I told you before, people just can't be fucking trusted. They'll always find some way to do some dumb shit. Why the fuck would you throw a goddamn phone at a person? Like, why would you throw shit at a person and there's nowhere in your mind that says, hey, what if I take somebody's eye out with this thing? Like, there's just no concept of foresight, just nothing, just children wanting what they want. And that is the problem with our society. People just want what they want, not thinking about the consequences, not thinking about other people. They just want what they fucking want because everybody wants that little moment of clout. You know what I mean? And that shit is addictive. Everybody just wants their little 15 fucking seconds so they can feel important.
I really do think that's where I think the trend, the reason why it's picking up, I think that's where it comes from, because if the pop star does pick up your phone and does do the selfie, then you could post it all over your social media, then you could get clout from there. And that's why I'm saying it's getting worse, because people are addicted to the clout. They're addicted to social media. They're addicted to the attention. So it's like, you know, there was a rapper, I don't know if it was Little Uzi or one of them, someone threw a phone. He picked it up and was doing the thing, and dozens of phones started flying on stage, and he had to like duck the phones. That's how crazy it's getting. I've seen a couple of reggaeton artists, they'll pick up the phone and chuck it all the way to the other side.
So moral of the story is get yourself a burner phone before you throw anything on stage.
Yes.
But yeah, it's definitely for clout. I don't doubt that. You know, it's really funny when we grew up, we're sounding old. When we grew up, you couldn't even bring a camera and take photos of the star because they're trying to sell these big old portfolios like Purple Rain concert. You had that big old, my sister got it, that big old portfolio. And you know, and it costs, I don't know, $20 or whatever it costs. But obviously with cell phones now, it's impossible to stop people from taking pictures. But I agree with Haran that people need to be patted down because, okay, this lady throws her mom's ashes up there, which is bizarre. But what if that was something else? What if that was anthrax? What if that was drugs? What if that, yeah, I mean.
What if it was fentanyl?
Fentanyl. It's very lax. And obviously, not only are the stars threatened, but people around them are probably threatened, can be threatened as well. And
Pink picked it up. I wouldn't have picked that shit up.
You don't know what the fuck
that shit up.
You know what the fuck that shit is, what's leaving on your hands and like.
Right. And you don't know whose ashes it really is. Like, it's, you know, it's disgusting. However, I've been to some concerts lately, and they don't let you in with shit. You got to zip up your cell phone in a lock bag, and then you could get it after.
I've seen that too. Right.
And then when I went to the Bad Bunny, they only let you in with a bag that's the size of like an envelope, right? So, and then if you have a bigger bag, you also have to check that in a locker. But it's going to get to the point where you're just going to have to walk in with your person. It's going to get to that point because it's going to get too dangerous. People are going to be like, if you want a camera or you want whatever, you got to buy it here. We have someone backstage. Hello, Wesley Curry. How are you?
Hello. Yeah, my name is Wesley Lawrence Curry II. My name will soon be Alaikum. That's what Jesus will say to me when I go to heaven.
You've been on Sonetta before, haven't you?
Probably. I'm in Huntington, West Virginia right now.
Yeah, I think I've seen you on Sonetta. Yeah.
Yeah. The vision that you've been having for, nearly 2 decades of the valley with the 2 little creatures, and one cuts off a foot, and the crooked path of spinning circles of gold and silver that are rusted. The vision from Jesus with the orange red in the bottom dark green leaves on the right. That's been shut for a couple of days, and I'm not going to open it up again until Monday. And when it's shut, you don't have that nice Christmas comforting feeling from Jesus Christ. So that's what's going on. Hi.
Did you want to add to the conversation that we were having?
Let me listen a little bit and see if I have anything pertinent to say about it. And let me just listen to what you're all talking about first, if that's okay.
Sure.
Yeah, we're just about to talk about Satan worship. the joys of Satan worship.
Well, he is a silly, smart guy, that Satan. So,
Well, I tell you, you missed the show. We had Thursday. We had believers versus non-believers. That would have been an interesting show with you all.
Yeah, you should have
well,
came up for that one.
I say that Jesus is God, but anytime I cuss, if I cuss at you,
Yeah.
I'm worshiping Satan. That's the act of worship of Satan, is to say a cuss word. And it's a sin against Jesus. And it's a sin against you if I cuss at you, if I blame or accuse you of anything. I can say I believe in Jesus with my mouth and lips, but if I ever accuse or blame you of something, even if you did it, I'd be satanic. I would be worshiping the devil by
So if
doing
I
that.
say fuck off, am I worshiping the devil?
Yeah, and a father would say, that's best. Why don't you put that out your butt in the toilet? Because I shit a Satan every day.
Ah.
So
Oh,
I
man.
want to try to bring it down to earth. Try to bring it down to earth and not get too
But you don't think
wily about it.
Wesley, honestly speaking, between you and I, Wes, you don't think Satan is the better guy in comparison to God? He gives us all the stuff we want. He makes us feel good. He lets us have sex. He gives us all our fleshly desires. We have fun with Satan. You have to admit, we have fun with Satan. God is a bit of a prude.
I like to put it this way: it's more of a jail. It's more of an imprisonment to claim I have free speech and I can cuss all I want. When that cussing is really an imprisonment, it's preventing me from using a greater vocabulary. So
Well, Wesley, I have to say, during the throes of passion, and when I'm with a very sexy woman, I've said a number of things, and I guess I'm guilty of being imprisoned while in the while experiencing the joys of the flesh.
we all are. I said I believe in Jesus. And I said I'm baptized, I'm washed in his blood. And then Jesus showed me my soul. He
What
lifted my head
What did he
and
show you?
he took the scales of my judgment off of my eyes so I could see my spirit body. And it was the filthiest thing I have ever seen on earth. When I'm saying to people, Jesus is this, Jesus is good, I believe he is God, the fact is, I was not repenting. I was not stopping doing the bad things.
Wesley,
And
are you married, Wesley?
no, I'm not. I'm a single 62-year-old, non-drug, non-alcohol, cigarette smoking
Are
man in
you
West
are
Virginia.
you sexually active? Are you sexually active?
Uh, Not with a partner. I have
I don't.
that's a personal question. I don't want to embarrass you about that. I
It's okay.
have
We're not.
three.
We're all friends here. It is okay, Wesley. We are all friends here. Are you sexually
Sure.
active, sir?
Only in that I asked Jesus to forgive me for watching porn and jacking off.
Oh, so you
That's
jack
it.
off. Oh, so you watch porn, jack off, and then you just ask for forgiveness.
Yeah, I do. I know almost every time, and it's really embarrassing.
What's in your search engine? I'm just curious. What do you like?
Well,
Is
guys,
is it like stepmother porn?
Oh,
the worst
me,
part of being an atheist.
I'm the one man, 40 women kind of guy.
Oh,
So,
okay. Yeah, that's
yeah.
more than I can handle.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm the
Wesley,
reverse.
I commend you for being honest with us, apparently.
Player.
I'm an evil reverse gangbanger fantasy in fantasy land.
This is
Now, they talked
Clutching
about
my
that in church.
This is
clutching my rope chain.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's a bad problem.
So
I
Wes,
try
The
to
worst
stop.
part of
you're
being
imprisoned by the
worst part of
devil
being
when
an
this
atheist.
happens.
Well, when I do it,
David.
it seems like it's the end of the
Hold on, Wesley.
world.
Hold on,
But
Wesley. David, hold on, Wesley. David
It's
wanted to
just
say
the
something.
worst part of being the worst part of being an atheist is you have no one to talk to while you're getting head.
Yeah, and if I break my right hand, I'll have to bring out the rookie. So
The rookie.
Who's the rookie?
Plan B.
Who's the rookie?
The left
My
hand.
Plan A, Plan B. It's like someone else's hand.
The virgin.
Okay,
So,
Wesley, this is interesting. So, we were talking about people throwing things on stage while pop stars are performing, how dangerous it was, and someone threw their mother's ashes after cremation on stage, and Pink picked them up, and we were talking about how dangerous that was because it could have been anything. So, are we at the point where it's like either people are going to have a rule where fans walk in with nothing, no purse, no bag, no nothing, no water? Or are these stars going to have to perform behind plexiglass now?
Were they in an amulet or something, or was it just I'm envisioning a
It was
sparkly
a zip.
cloud of
It was a sandwich bag.
classy.
It was a sandwich bag of ashes.
Yeah.
And she just like
Was
picked
it
it up
the
like,
kind
oh,
that
is
zip
this?
with the little tab thing, or was it you had to use your
Yes. It looked like the zip, and Pink was like,
Wow.
is this really your mom? And the lady was like, yeah, it was my
wow.
mom. I wouldn't have picked it up.
Mm,
I wouldn't have picked it up.
Ooh,
But
yeah.
moving on. Did you guys know Bruce Willis has dementia? He's been diagnosed with dementia, and it's so sad to freaking see. Like, it is heartbreaking. It's like someone vanishing in front of you, and his family is dealing with that. I thought that was super sad. Not
He was
Bruce
going
Willis.
through that stage where he couldn't recognize speech and stuff like that. I remember that was what originally took him out of the spotlight. That is a very sad moment indeed.
Yeah.
You know, he
as
sold the license
wild
to
and
Mace.
crazy as I am perceived
Wait
to
one second,
be
Wes.
and afflicted, one time
Wes,
a couple of years ago,
Wes,
yeah,
1 second, please.
sure.
He sold the likeness to his appearance. Bruce Willis. Just to put that out there.
To like AI?
I am assuming so.
Like you can holograms and things like that. Probably goes to his family, I imagine.
We'll have full on Die Hard 6, you know.
Well, James Earl Jones sold his voice to Disney for Darth Vader.
Oh, wow.
So Wesley, you said we think you're crazy, and then you were going to say something.
Well, sure. I you know, my favorite comment is, Wes, are you on your meds? Specifically when I go, you know, I said I don't really believe in Jesus's forgiveness, and he showed me a foot that got cut off that didn't bleed, and I fail you whenever I blame or accuse. So he showed me a full moon, and I fail you when I'm double-minded, when I'm double-tongued, double-hearted. You know, if I said a sniping comment behind your back at a coffee shop, and then you would turn around and say, what did you just say? And then if I would go, oh, I didn't say anything, I don't know what you're talking about. You know, I'm a Christian. I believe Jesus. I would never say that. Well, that would be like a little, I would make you feel like I cut your foot off. You know, like those two little creatures in the dream Jesus gave me. So I said that dream, and I asked Jesus to heal some teeth in everybody's mouth, and no one told me if it happened or not. But I believe it happened, and I believe that if you'll tell that vision, Jesus will let you say, Bruce Willis, be healed of your dementia, and he will be healed. And it's, yeah.
Oh, okay,
that's what
so all right. So hopefully Bruce Willis got Jesus' phone number. He could fix his dementia.
Yeah, he's a tall guy, black hair, dark skin, like the gentleman up there in Mr. Demento. Yeah, God.
Who is
the heavens
Jesus?
and the universe. Yeah.
Who, Jesus is black?
Jesus looks like
Well,
me.
olive skin. Yeah, he absolutely. And so do Adam and Eve, and so are Gabriel and Michael, the archangels. As a matter of fact,
We're making progress.
Olive.
We're making progress.
Yeah, the first men on earth.
Olive.
Yeah,
This
the
is
street-
Olive.
It wasn't until Noah that Caucasian flesh really started to happen.
Okay. All right, Wesley. So come back on Monday. We will be back on Monday. It was a pleasure having you here this evening. God bless.
So will you say, yeah, I saw a foot cut off in that dream from Jesus?
No, but I will say good night. All right, guys. So, all right. He's
Great for
definitely
the
here on the
albums.
wrong week, right? Hey, the numbers went up. That was Jesus. That was Jesus in them.
Well, like, at least we learned that Jesus is a bald-headed, big black dude from New York.
That's what I'm talking about. Now I may be interested in some prayer.
I think
All
it's
right.
quite interesting that from my days in the YouTube streets, I recognize a lot of people.
I know every time somebody comes up I've never seen before, no saying and be like, oh, you were on the blah blah, and I'm like, what? You've done that a lot of times.
Yeah, he comes in and he says his full name, and then he starts talking about Jesus. So as soon as he said his full name, I was like, and then I was like, oh, that's right. And you were on Sonetta, weren't you? I remember you.
Oh my God. All right, guys. Well, you know what? Tonight was short and sweet. We will continue on Monday, and we will cover Jonathan Major's domestic violence case turned into a witch hunt. It's developing very, very strangely. That case it's become a complete tennis match back and forth. And it's really, it's there's something else behind it. And you know me, I'm not into conspiracy theories, but I'm like, something smells very, very fishy about this. It's very strange. So we'll get into that on Monday. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Guys, please check the group chat for things in there. Lily is knocked out. She's very tired. She's had a long 2 days. So just check out for the chats. And thank you for holding me down, chat. Hit that like and subscribe on your way out. Good night. Love you all.
Good night.
Good night. All right, guys, hit that like and subscribe on your way out. Don't forget you can reach me on all social media platforms, On the Block with Jen, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. Also On the Block with Jen at Gmail. If you want to support the show, buy Mama a smoothie. Hit that Cash App, On the Block with Jen as well. Tonight was short and sweet. Sometimes that's going to happen. We give you guys a lot of content, so I hope you appreciate that. Hung out with us for about an hour. I see you, chat. Thank you to everyone that stopped by and saying hello, hello, hello. We will see you on Monday.